All right, well, also in the news this week, the American Customer Satisfaction Index recently came out with its latest quarterly survey of customer likes and dislikes. This time around, the ACSI looked at the travel and hospitality space sectors that have been very much in the news of late, not maybe necessarily in a good way. Surprisingly, however, there was actually some good news found in the ACSI survey numbers. Now, before we dive into the nuts and bolts of the rankings, however, maybe we can do a little review of the ACSI methodology. The index interviews thousands of customers, and this time around they surveyed more than 8,000 folks, and grades sectors and companies on elements such as price, value, and overall quality. The ACSI then assigns an overall score on a 1 to 100 scale, with 100 being the top grade. So with that in mind, let's consider airlines, for instance, which had a sector ACSI score of 75, which was a significant increase from 72 the last time around that the airlines were surveyed. As you can see right there, JetBlue with a very good score of 82 and Southwest at 80 led the way. At the other end of the spectrum, Spirit scored not very spirited, 61, and Frontier was not much better at 63. United, which has won so much notoriety for their creative methods of passenger reaccommodation, had a 70, which was the low score for the legacy carriers.
And I believe the survey came out, it was done before
that all came around.
Before all that came around,
which is good to know, because the survey actually ran from last spring until the very early part of this spring, so keep that in mind as well. The hotel industry showed an aggregate score of 74, up from 72. Of course, the sector is broken down into luxury, mid-scale, and economy brands, and it's no surprise that the most expensive properties tended to have the highest ratings. For instance, as you can see right there, JW Marriott checked in at an impressive 85, while Super 8 had a score of 63 at the bottom of the scale. Wyndham actually had both the top-rated mid-scale property, which was the Baymont Inn and Suites at 76, and the leading economy brand, Days Inn, at 67.
I noticed they didn't have Quality Digest's favorite hotel there, which is the Motel 5.5.
Yes, they did. They did. It got a score of 1.
Yeah, okay. Those are the hotels we stay at.
I think you were the only one who answered that survey of the 8,000. Finally, this time around, the ACSI looked at travel websites, which held steady with an overall score of 79. Expedia was the top-ranked site with a score of 80, while Travelocity and Priceline pulled up the rear with scores of 77, respectively. Clearly, there's not much brand differentiation among consumers within this category. As you can see, 80 to 77 is really not a very big spread. The surveys making up this ACSI report, as we mentioned, were collected between April 18th, 2016 and March 19th, 2017. So again, as you mentioned, it was kind of culminated before a lot of the stuff that happened with the airlines.
Right, exactly.
And for more information, you can visit online at www.theacsi, that's THEACSI.org.
Right.
So check that out. Good organization. They always praise a lot of good service.
Yeah, we get a lot of stuff from them. And they're constant. It's nice because they cover a lot of the, it's all consumer oriented. So they cover consumer goods as well as services. I mean, they cover banking, financial,
everything,
travel, pretty much everything. There's always an ACSI report coming out, and we do typically cover them. So.
We do. We cover them on the show a lot too, and you can check out, again, theacsi.org is a really good place to go if you're interested in how various brands are doing.
Yeah, and obviously we run overviews, so if you want a lot more information, it is really interesting actually to go out there and deep dive because they give you a lot more data, a lot more in-depth data and charts and stuff than we do here on the show. So it's worth going. If you're interested in any of these, it's really fascinating reading, particularly if you're like maybe somebody who travels a lot and you want to see kind of the full ratings. Your hotel that you use is probably listed in there somewhere.
Yeah, I bet.